Hey, it's David. Parts have arrived for the Bandit, so let's get the back end back together. I've had deliveries this week. Chain and sprockets I had before. New pins for the front brake because they were rusty. New spacers for the back wheel. New sprocket nuts to replace these old and rusty ones. And new chain adjuster bolts for the back end. I do have to maintain a bit of a balance between the whole rat bike look with perfectly functional fasteners and nice shiny ones, but it's not quite a rat bike, so I'm not too worried, and I'm sure they'll get dirty anyway. So let's get all this stuff on the bike. I've cleaned up the hub and the bearing surface inside, so this is all cleaned up now, ready for it to be put back together. So I now have, thanks to some quick overnight delivery from Moto, a new hub bearing and dust seal. So this is going to go in here. I'm not going to make up a puller to push this in. It would be great to do so, but I want to push ahead. So I'm just going to use the remains of the outer seal of the old bearing on top as a driver and just tap it home. So let's get into this and get it done. Let's get some grease into here so that the bearing will have a good chance of sliding in smoothly and easily. Just check it's going in square. Oh, there we go. Starting to slide in now. That sounds down to me. Really light titanium. Now if you want you can run a tap through here. I'm quite happy that these threads are quite clean because I've had them out before, so I'm just going to clean this up a bit and then put the new adjuster bolts in. Remember to get the nut the right way around. Okay, had a little trouble getting the axle through, which is why I've had to pull it out. So what's happened is that, and it does often happen when you move things around, is that the somehow the inner spacer tube have become misaligned. It's only a loose fit, it rattles around to a certain degree inside, such that this wasn't going through, simply wasn't going through. So I just had to give it a bit of a wiggle, and now it works okay. You should never have to hammer your axle through. If you're hammering your axle through, something is wrong big time. Some are tighter than others, and if you've got new wheel bearings and stuff in, then it can be an issue, but there we go. So that's now moving freely. Let's just check it with the carrier in. Okay. So now that's all aligned and moving smoothly. I'll put some more grease on the axle and let's see if we can get it in second time around. The instructions aren't clear which way around to put this, but I'm going to go with a gut feel that the writing, which is obviously advertiser manufacturing as much as anything else, is going to be outwards, because these two gaps will allow me to close up the locking ring. Now, to move the rear wheel all the way forward, you will need to loosen off the torque arm here, because otherwise it will hold the caliper in place and prevent the wheel from moving all the way back. And we do want the wheel to actually be fully forward so we can fit the new chain on. So if we move the wheel all the way forward and then just tighten wheel nut to hold it in place, there'll then be enough slack in the chain to actually get it to here. Use all the grease to put on the pins, put the O-rings on each pin, then push through, more grease, the O-rings on this side, and then your final link can just lightly sit on the end. It won't go on because you'll need to compress it on. Right, these can be a little bit fiddly to get set up right. There are lots of different makes around. This is a DID one. I use it because it's a DID chain, but doesn't really mean that you need to. First we need to press the plate on. And make sure the holder is pressing against the links on the back. Just make sure, double check everything is set up properly, because if it's not, and I'm looking at just for one side, I didn't have it in the right place, it won't work as it's supposed to. Don't be afraid to double check what you're doing. So here I'm making sure that they are actually starting to press through, which they are. Yep, spot on. Now we need to adjust the tool to actually rivet the links on. Let's check we've not over tightened it. Still plenty of movement in there, and that looks good to go. So that's chain and sprockets replaced, with the unexpected bonus of also replacing the carrier bearing. And while I've done that, I've done a couple of little upgrades, like the stainless steel nuts holding the sprocket on. Don't really need them, but why not? I've also replaced the pin in the front brake, which was a couple of videos ago, because that's now come in, so that's looking good and ready to roll. Bike's ready for a test ride, and then it's MOT, and hopefully then back on the road. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys again soon.